Hello, everybody. All right, so we have three people in here. So, as always, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can keep monitored on when we're on. Um, Also, if anything we talk about tonight grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and we will try to and I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So that we just went down down to one watching, even though we had three waiting for a moment ago. Anyways, oh, we're just a day away from Halloween. I'm gonna wait a few minutes, give people a chance to come back in. Okay, there's two. Yeah. So, all right. So let's see now. What? Anyways, let's see where we're kind of groovy. And they love you too. Hey, everybody shout. Come on, let's take out. It's time for the groovies to get together. We're gonna see how funny they can be. Well, it's time for the groovy ghoulie show. Do, 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 do. All right, so I know everybody's probably, those who have kids, I know your kids will probably be excited for tomorrow being Halloween and stuff, getting to go out and get all that candy, right? Hope everybody's had a good weekend here. Like I said, we're just giving it a few more minutes here, a few more seconds here, about 30 seconds more, for I go over what's on tap for tonight, and then we will get into the articles. Right, so we're now down, kind of groovy. And they love you too. Hey, everybody shout. Come on, let's hang out. It's time for the groovies to get together. We're gonna see just how funny they can be. Well, it's time for the groovy ghoulie show. Do, 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 do. Some of you who are in your 40s and 50s probably remember that little tune. That was, of course, the opening theme of Filmation's Groovy Ghoulies show. So, uh, well, with that, we're now past the 3 minute mark here. So, why don't we go ahead 3.5 minutes now? So, why don't we go ahead and talk about what's on tap for tonight? So, what's on tap for tonight, of course, is we're going to be hitting up. Okay, so we got a couple articles we're going to go over. Tonight we're featuring Chuck Dixon pretty much, as we're going to be going over a couple articles revolving around some commentary he recently gave on some things. Let's see, including he revealing a plot to a Batman story DC refused to publish because it wasn't diverse enough. And also, let me see as soon as I find it here. What else did he say recently? And he also promised that the Levon Cade film, Levon Cade film adaptation by Sylvester Stallone is remarkably faithful. So a couple of things, a couple of interviews that Chuck gave over the weekend that we're going to go over, of course. Um, you know, Plus, of course, the rest of the wrap up. Quite a bit of news going on between this past weekend and this coming weekend. As, of course, the NWA had its Sound One event at Temple Live in Cleveland, Ohio. Impact was on tour in England. Let's see. This weekend, of course, WWE had its Crown Jewel event. We'll go over that. a lot of moves and injury updates going around as well throughout the world of wrestling. And we're going to talk about who's become free agent, who's looking to sign where, and of course we'll have the This Day Niche History segment at the very end. So with all that being said, let me just do one more quick little thing here before we. One more quick little thing here before we get started here. See if we can drum up some. Let's see if we can drum up some more viewership. Let's see. Yeah, that'll probably hopefully come in. All right. Well, anyways, all right. So with that, why don't we go ahead? JR's here. Hey, JR. Let me just hail Xenu and Xena, our only saviors. All right. Oh, and is Rick coming? I don't know. Probably not, because I think he's finishing up packing up the stuff. I mean, I think he's finishing packing up the stuff and getting ready to head out today. I know that's what he was. I think that's what he was talking about this morning when he did a video. So he probably might not show up tonight, but it's understandable considering the circumstances. But with that being said, why don't we go ahead and get started on what we're going to talk about? Of course, tonight we're going to go over a couple articles revolving around the great Chuck Dixon, the legend himself. So here's the first article, as Chuck Dixon will be quite a feature tonight for us, as it were. All right, so Chuck Dixon reveals the plot to a Batman story DC refused to publish because it wasn't diverse enough. Article by J.D. Augustine, published this past Friday, the 27th. So, it might come across as strange or impossible when you look at the landscape of comics today. But there was a time when the big publishers had standards. Whether the editors did possess them deep down in their hearts or not, they tried to convey the image of standards and taste. Therefore, there were stories they wouldn't publish. Crazy Comics Volume 1, Issue 64, Who Rules the Night, from 1993. Chuck Dixon with the writing, Graham Nolan with the art. Scott Hanna and Adrian Ray as well. All right. These stories weren't always by controversial writers like Alan Moore, Grant Morrison, or Todd McFarlane either. Sometimes a veteran Batman writer like Chuck Dixon didn't catch a break when penning something he initially thought would hit shelves and racks around the country. One Batman story he did was approved but ultimately dumped not too long after. Interesting. Let's get more into that's all about. Let's see. Second last day, he's more emotionally regulated than I would be. Oh yeah, I mean, he pretty much and thank you for the like and the share. As I said, feel free to comment or ask questions if anything here catches your attention as we go through this stuff, go through the niche news and all that. So, anyways, getting back to the topic here. Fans submitting questions for Dixon's podcast Ask Chuck YouTube series have frequently asked him about the tale. Lately, the topic is coming up more than usual, and as such, Dixon devoted time on episode number 165 to explain what happened. It all started after he watched the movie New Jack City, which inspired him to conceive a story similar to The Raid. All right. Dickson thought, quote, what if Batman had to infiltrate a housing project that was turned into a fortress by a drug kingpin who took it over, unquote. The story he wrote was called, quote unquote, The Keep. Was going to be drawn by Moon Knight artist Gary Krapsitz and was greenlit by Archie Goodwin for an issue of Batman Legends of the Dark Knight. Now, in the animated series of the '90s, Batman kind of they did do maybe not this story, but a similar story revolving around an animated original character, the Sewer King, in which he took in um, basically orphaned or runaway kids to live in the sewer to act as thieves. Anyways, the plot consisted of Batman following leads on a murder. Dixon explained that brings him to the project fortified by a gang to protect themselves from rivals and the police. When he gets into a fight with several gang members, the Cape Crusader is shot, which makes his mission more complicated. Bleeding and trapped in a maze, there's almost no way out. Wow, it does sound like quite an interesting story, to say the least. Fortunately, he knocks on a door and is given safe haven by a boy who's home by himself since his mother works night shifts as a nurse. This gives Batman time to heal and reach his objective. The story was intended as a real-world scenario where Batman was the only white character and everyone else, especially the criminals, were black. Quote, the problem came that Gary and I wanted to present this as it might have really happened in the real world, unquote, Dixon explained. Quote, and what that meant is that Batman is the only white character in the story. Every other character in the story, good guys and bad guys, are African American. Because Gary and I felt that's simply the way it would be in Gotham. All right, actually, I would think that, well, if that was today, that would almost seem like they would at least not have you would think they wouldn't have a problem with that. But he elaborated, quote, Gary is from Detroit. I'm from Philadelphia. And you don't really have a whole lot of diversity in those low income housing project buildings. It's generally one minority or another dominating the entire building. So that's the way we presented it. Unquote. All right. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, even in New York, they have areas that you have like everybody knows of Harlem being a predominantly black neighborhood, but then you also have Spanish Harlem, which has a lot of the Puerto Ricans. You know, and out here in LA, we have a Koreatown, we have a Chinatown, and then we have some of the cities that are predominantly black, like Inglewood, Compton, Southgate, South Central, um, yeah. So that's the part of DC editorial had a problem with. Though Dixon and Krapitz understood there wasn't a lot of diversity in the inner cities of Detroit and Philadelphia, for example, Archie Goodwin was apprehensive about showing the keep to higher ups in the chain of command, um, to the higher ups in the chain of command. Dixon and Kravitz were paid for their work, but Goodwin never presented it to his superiors. Yeah. Hey, Woody, cynical bleak Woody. Hail and a hearty handshake. Yep, haven't seen you in a while, my friend. I'm about to oven roast some more tomatillos. All right. Hold on, JR. All right. So, anyways, getting back to. All right, as we continue on with the article here. Does sound like a good story, though. Let's see where we at on time here. 16 minutes in. All right. Dixon does not have the script for the story anymore, but even if he did, he doesn't think it would be published. Quote, if we were to present the story today, we'd probably have been pounded down the street by a mob, unquote, the veteran Batman writer explained. Yeah, because you were if you were depicting black, even if you depicted some blacks as good guys, if the fact that you would be depicting blacks as criminals and the white man going after the black criminals, and that would probably not go over well, unfortunately. So we got a pretty good point there. Anyways, getting ready to move on to the next story here. And this was another story about some commentary from Chuck from his latest podcast, as it were. Let's get into this a bit. It's 17, almost 18 minutes. Alrighty then. Chuck Dixon promises Levon Cade film adaptation by Sylvester Stallone. It, quote, is remarkably faithful, unquote. Article by John F. Trent published earlier today. Sylvester Stallone is teaming up with Jason Statham and director David Ayer to adapt the first of Chuck Dixon's Levon Cade novels, Levon's Trade. All right. Headline reports the film hit the AFM market last week, with Stallone penning a screenplay, Statham starring as Levon Cade, and Ayer directing with the film being produced by former Miramax boss Bill Block and his new Block Film production company. The film is expected to adapt Chuck Dixon's first Levon Cade novel, Levon's Trade, that was published back in 2014. The plan is for the film to go into production in March 2024 in London. And there's Jason Statham right there as Lee Christmas in Expendables. All right. And again, feel free to comment and or ask questions if anything here grabs your attention. If you haven't already, if you can like and share and hit the subscribe button, that'd be appreciated. Like and share the stream to see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage, and also if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment on our subscribers, and I'll try to to answer them to the best of my ability. Also, subscribe so you can, of course, get the notifications as well. So, with that, let's continue on with the article here. All right, so the official description for the novel reads, quote, Levon Cade left his profession behind to work construction. He just wants to live an anonymous life and be a good dad to his daughter. But when a local girl vanishes, he's asked to return to the skills that made him a mythic figure in the shadowy world of counterterrorism, unquote. Quote, his hunt for the missing college student takes him to the heart of a vicious criminal conspiracy. Levon's actions um, create a chain reaction that threatens all he holds dear. It's time for him to return to his trade, and Levon's trade is death, unquote, the description concludes. Dixon described the character to Bounding in the Comics back in 2018 while promoting Levon's War. Quote, he has the demons, but he's never one to complain. He's the original stoic warrior. There's stark contrast between Levon and the badass hunter-killer and Levon, the loving father. Quote, he's trying to raise his daughter and keep her safe from his past and the consequences of some of the decisions he's made as a civilian, unquote, he continued. Quote, the two have their share of adventures together, and I think Mary is a whole lot tougher than her daddy thinks she is. Oh, that sounds kind of cute. The apple did not fall far from the tree. All right, so 3 people. Yeah, that's good. As for the movie, Block shared how excited he is for the film. I am trying to be reuniting with some of my most talented and long-standing partners on Levon's trade. I first worked with David Ayer on Fury, and it was immediately clear that he is a director at the very top of his game, unquote. Quote, Jason and I have worked together on a number of films, and most recently, the three of us collaborated on The Beekeeper. Levon's trade is going to be another spectacular action movie, and I'm confident we've assembled the dream team to bring the first novel in this celebrated series to the big screen, unquote, he added. Stallone was previously adapting Dixon's novels into a TV series back in 2018, but it appears plans have changed, and at least the first novel will get a feature film adaptation. To that point, Dixon informed Bounding into Comics, quote, Sly's been talking about doing Levon Cade as either a feature or a series for years. COVID and the strikes interfered with getting the project started, unquote. He added, quote, his adaptation of the novel is remarkably faithful, which is flattering. Slice opened up the action a bit for the movie, but it's still very much more my story and my characters as written, unquote. Well, again, as we know, when you stay true to the you do stay true to the source material, you usually will find success. Saw that with One Piece, of course, recently, and if Sly and the production team stay true to the source material of the Levon Cade novels, Chuck Dixon, it should prove to be a success. It sounds like a pretty good story. So, are you looking forward to seeing what Stallone, Air, and Statham and Cook for Levon Straight? It does sound interesting. I'll say that much. All right, so that was basically all of the articles we were gonna cover tonight. Let's see, 25 minutes. I'll see if there's possibly one more article here, maybe get done in the next, over the next 5 to 10 minutes here. Doesn't look like it though. We're pretty much all caught up. And the only reason I wouldn't go to Bounding in the Comments right now is because I feel like we're going to probably spend quite a bit of time on wrestling because there's quite a bit of news there. So I think that's exactly what I'll do. In fact, I'll probably will just move onward to pro wrestling wrap up, the wrestling wrap up here. And we are at just about 26 and a half minutes into this. Anyways, we'll get started here on the wrestling wrap up. Of course, WWE this weekend will be having its Crown Jewel event, so there'll be the live Monday Night Raw tonight. Now, some news coming out of WWE is that there's a possibility that they may be looking to bring in some more Bloodline members, as looking at the possibility of, as I think Lance Anoa'i and Finua, who are part of the Samoan SWAT team in Major League Wrestling, may now be free agents. And with that being said, they will be. With that being said, they will probably be. That being said, they're looking at the possibility of bringing them in and signing them to Monday Night Raw, or signing them to be part of the Bloodline. So let me just. All right. For tonight's Raw, before they, of course, this is the last Raw before, is of course the last Raw before this weekend's Crown Jewel event, which is coming out of Saudi Arabia. On tonight's Monday Night Raw, in a non-title match, Seth Rollins will be taking on JD McDonough as he prepares for his upcoming title defense at Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia against Drew McIntyre. In another non-title match, Dominic Mysterio, who I believe is still the current NXT North American champ. I think he did actually, so it may not be, but Ricochet will be taking on Dominic Mysterio tonight. Candice LeRae takes on Xia Li. DIY of Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa will be taking on Imperium duo of Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci. And in a trick or street fight, Natalia takes on Chelsea Green. So that's all that's happening on tonight. Now, coming up this Saturday for the WWE, they'll be having their Crown Jewel event from Saudi Arabia. And on that show, let's take a look at what's going to be. So on this weekend, Crown Jewel, which will be, of course, broadcast that same night. Let's see. The main event will see Roman Reigns defending the WWE title and Universal titles against LA Knight. They had the contract signed this past Friday, in which some tempers got flared there. As I previously mentioned, Seth Rollins defends the WWE World Heavyweight title against Drew McIntyre. Rhea Ripley will be defending the Women's World title in a fatal four-way match against Nia Jax, Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler, a fatal five-way match. Her four opponents will be Nia Jax, Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler, and Raquel Rodriguez. Rey Mysterio defends the United States Championship against Logan Paul, as here's another match that was set up more for the star power of Logan Paul than anything else. Try to get a bigger crowd for the Saudi Arabia Sports Authority. John Cena takes on Solo Sikoa. Cody Rhodes takes on Damian Priest. And Io Sky will be defending the WWE Women's title against Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair recently made her return after a kayfabe injury, and she looks to get back gold. Since losing a title to Asuka a few months back. So, that's all we got for the WWE news. Now, moving on to some AEW news, of course. An injury update from that, as Bryan Danielson last week during the BCC's tag match against Chaos members Okada and AEW International Champion Orange Cassidy suffered a broken orbital bone. The orbital bone, of course, is in this bone right here, in the eye bone, basically the bone that surrounds eye. Apparently Danielson suffered injury probably when he was taking the kind of the ripcord lariat from or the Rainmaker, as he likes to call it, from Okada. That match, of course, led to this Wednesday night's international title defense for Cassidy taking on Claudio Castagnoli of the Blackpool Combat Club. Also, over the weekend, of course, Hikaru Shida had a successful on Collision. There were two major title defenses. Hikaru Shida successfully defended AEW Women's World title in a trick-or-treat match against Abaddon, who had won the opportunity the previous night on Rampage in a four-way with Anna Jay, Willow Nightingale, and Sky Blue, and then MJ and what was a passing of the torch moment, as it were. MJF defended and retained the AEW World Heavyweight Championship against Kenny Omega, as it was called the title versus streak, as MJF is on the verge of breaking Omega's record, and he will now, because he might have by now, in fact, because let's see, think he breaks it tomorrow. Kenny Omega had the previous record for I think he's still holding it for at least one more day here, but has the record as the longest single reign of AEW World Championship at 346 days. I think MJF is right now at 345, and by tomorrow will be tied, and then should break it by Wednesday. So, So they had a bit of a passing the torch moment on Collision the other night. Of course, as everybody knows, Sting recently made his retirement announcement that he'll be retiring at next year's next year's Revolution, which will be coming up in March 2024 here. Now, who he plans on facing in that last match still is a mystery, but that's still like 5 months away, basically. So let's see. So coming up on this Wednesday's Dynamite. Coming up on this Wednesday's Dynamite, the aforementioned international title defense from Orange Cassidy against Claudio Castagnoli of the Blackpool Combat Club, the BCC. Also on this Wednesday's Dynamite, as we keep marching towards Full Gear on the 18th, of course, already signed for that match. MJF defending the AEW World Title against Jay White. Hikaru Shida defending the women's title against Toni Storm. And MJF will be pulling double duties. He'll also be defending the Ring of Honor World Tag Titles in a handicap match against the Guns of Bullet Club Gold. So, anyways, now as soon as I can get it here, on this Wednesday's Dynamite, I said the aforementioned international title match. Also, in an 8-man tag match, you have the members of Bullet Club Gold, of course, Jay White, Juice Robinson, and the Gun Club of Austin and Colton Gunn. MJF, and 3 mystery partners of his choice. If MJF can win the match, then he can take back possession of the world title from Jay White, who stole the belt. So, and apparently there's been some creative chaos backstage as well, as people are now saying there's a little bit more chaos going on backstage at AEW. Not necessarily between in terms of like strife, nothing like that. Just a lot of times people are not. At one point, AEW was known for their long-term storytelling, but right now, a lot of people making their current storytelling aspects more similar to when McMahon started winding down his, before they kind of took him out of creative, and people wouldn't know what they were doing until the last part of the show, or not last part of the show, but right up until before the show would start, rather. So, hey, Rick, I'm good. I'm going to go off camera here for a quick moment. Put some music on real quick. Just got to do something real quick. And I'll be right back. All right, anyway, sorry about that. Back now. So, and just as a friendly reminder, if you haven't already, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That would be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. And if you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing. That way you can get the notifications as to when we're on, and you can come catch the news. You'll be more timely informed and all that. So let's see. Let's continue on with the wrestling wrap up here. We still got some more. Of course, Impact was in England this past weekend for its and of course they're going to be showing the Turning Point pay per view this Friday night, I believe, on the 3rd. Now, some news coming out of Impact Wrestling has, in fact, been that that Heath, formerly known as Heath Slater in the WWE, he's now a free agent. Now, Impact has made some signings and re-signings, and also has let some people go. But Heath is probably the most recent guy whose contract came up. They didn't have anything for him, so he's now a free agent. So where he ends up, we don't know. He could end up in the NWA, Major League Wrestling. Some people are saying it's not quite as likely he may be back with WWE or AEW, but anything's possible. And of course, Impact recently signed Sonny Kiss and Juventud Guerrera for some appearances, which we'll be seeing those more on in the upcoming weeks on Impact Wrestling. Matt Cardona made his return at Bound for Glory. So whether or not that was a one-time thing or not, we'll just wait and see. Hello there. Hello, First Rank Esper Accelerator. Hope you're having a good day. Of course, tomorrow is Halloween. I hope everybody has some fun tomorrow. But anyways, so basically, Impact, Sonny Kiss recently signed with Impact. They recently re-signed PCO to the company. So it's going to be interesting to see how the next few weeks. I'm going back to AEW for a quick moment. Of course, they did also announce that they are adding another pay-per-view for the end of the year, December 31st, World's End. So that pay-per-view will be coming up after Full Gear, which Full Gear will be 2 weeks from this Saturday on the 18th. So already kind of went over some of the matches that will be happening then. And also, Ring of Honor I think they've got a big event coming up as well. Their Death Before Dishonor. I think their next event should be coming up pretty soon here. Ring of Honor, which of course is nowadays more of a subsidiary of AEW. Yeah. Final, but actually not just before the Final Battle. Final Battle is coming up in December in Garland, Texas. So that will be coming up towards the end of the year here as well. So Ring of Honor will be having Final Battle and on the 15th of December, and then on the 31st will be and I believe will be a Friday. And then on the 31st, AEW will be having World's End. So a couple of pay-per-views to look forward to there. And now we're getting ready to move on to NWA news. NWA, of course, had their San Juan pay-per-view. even though it's spelled Samain, it's pronounced Samhain, which I believe is a Gaelic or Celtic word. It's a festival that started out in Europe. It's kind of a combination of Thanksgiving and Halloween, basically, kind of celebration. But the NWA had their pay-per-view, which they also named Samhain. Pull it up here. So Samhain, which happened on and this Saturday, they're gonna have the TV changes from the Skyway Studios. On the pre-show for Samhain, which aired on YouTube, an NWA Exodus Pro Heavyweight Title Tournament qualifying match. Brandon Day defeated Man Bun Jesus. Man Bun Jesus. In a 6-man tag match, Jordan Clearwater and the Country Gentlemen, with Joe Kazana in their corner, defeated the Outrunners and Zion, who had Austin Idol in his corner. In a 4-way match for the number 1 contendership to the NWA World Women's Championship, Samantha Starr defeated Chelsea, Missa Kate, and Tiffany Nieves. And in the main event of the pre-show saw the Immortals defeating Daisy Kill and Talos to become the new NWA United States Tag Team Champions. So the Immortals of Kratos and Otisman became the new NWA United States Tag Team Champions, defeating Daisy Kill and Talos on the pre-show. Now on the pay-per-view itself, the Samhain pay-per-view itself, the night started off with a Devil's Last Dance Ultimate Hardcore team match, in which you had Alex Misery, the team of Magic Inc. of Cody James and Jake Dumas, and the duo of Judas and NWA World Women's Television Champion Maxi Impaler, with CJ and Father James Mitchell taking on team of Koa Laksamana, Magnum Muscle duo of Dak Draper and NWA World TV Champion Mims, and the duo of Gags Gimps and Sal Powell. The part of the match that was stipulated was that if Gags and Sal Powell's team lost, they would have to rejoin Father James Mitchell, and that's exactly what happened. The team of Alex Misery, Magic, and Judas and Maxi Impaler defeated the team of Koa Laksamana, Magnum Muscle, and Gags Gimp and Sal Powell. In a loser leaves town match with Rolando Freeman as a special guest referee, Rush Freeman defeated Brady Pierce. In a pillar to post match for the NWA World Junior Heavyweight title, Kobe Corino retained over Joe Alonzo. In a rock and roll tag team match, the Southern Six duo of Kerry Morton and Alex Taylor defeated former NWA World Tag Team Champions, the Headbangers, Mosh and Thrasher. In a submission match, NWA Triple Crown winner Jack Stain defeated Blake Troop, who had Chris Sylvia Esquire in his corner. Pretty Empowered had a pretty good night as all three won their matches and and retained their respective title. Ella Envy and Kylie Page retained the World Women's World Tag Title over Natalia Markova and Taylor Rising, while Kenzie Page retained the NWA World Women's Title over Ruthie J. Silas Mason retained the National Heavyweight Title in a Burning Lake match with Ricky Morton in his corner over two-time former NWA National Heavyweight Champion Chris Adonis. In a six-man Riddle Box tag team match, the Brothers of Construction, Rufo and Yabo the Clown, with Violent J, defeated La Rebellion of Bestias Mecha Wolf, and Vampiro, who had Jerry Other in their corner. Let's see. Blunt Force Trauma retained their tag title over Knox and Murdoch in a Medieval Knights of the Round Table match. And then in a No Limits match, EC3 retained over Tom Latimer with Camille in his corner. So not a whole lot going on, I guess. There, the only title change happened on the pre-show. I didn't watch the show myself, so I can't give much credit on it. But I say that there are a lot of low rankings here from. So, anyways, with all that, I thank everybody for being here. So, just as a reminder, we'll be back here with more Niche News tomorrow. And don't forget, this Friday, of course, RJ Carter will be my co-host, and we'll be looking at comics that went on sale from Novelty Press. I'll be introducing you guys to Novelty Press and Target Comics Volume 1, Issue 1. Very interesting comic. A cover that, I think the lead feature for this particular comic is Bullseye Bill, which looks to be interesting. I was previewing it earlier today. So, and of course, tomorrow is Halloween, so I hope you guys will have a good day tomorrow. As I said, we'll be back with more Niche News and all that. So yeah, that's all I have for you guys tonight. And I hope you guys enjoyed the show. And with that, I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.